Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an afternoon edition of COVID-19 interviews on TravelMole. And with me today is a very, very important man in the world of communications, which is a very important subject in this COVID world. And his name is Matt Parker, and he is the top dog. He is the big cheese at Babble.cloud. Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon, Graham. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad. Matt, how's your lockdown been? What have you been doing? Have you taken up any new sports? I know your golf is a little bit indifferent at the moment. Have you learned to be a cordon bleu cook? Are you now a classical guitarist? What's happened to you?
I guess a bit of everything, Graham. Lots of golf since the golf course reopened, lots of time on my bike. As I get older, I get slower and a bit heavier. I guess those two things go together. A fair bit of cooking for a change, so I'm at home at 6 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock, so I've suddenly found it seems to be my turn in the kitchen more often than it was before. We've been doing some weekly curry-ins with with one of the guys who's an accomplished chef in the business, so we've been doing those. And I think that the biggest difference has just been time with the family. There's four of us here, and given that we've all been here for sort of 11 weeks together, just learning to function as a family when you're all stuck in the same place has probably been the most interesting thing for me.
Good. Well, obviously, as I mentioned, as I opened up, Babble.cloud are a company that's involved in communications primarily, making sure the technical side of communications, making sure that all flows correctly. And whilst it sounds very cynical, COVID-19 must have been somewhat of a boost to your business, hasn't it?
So long term, it will have a massively positive impact in our business. And the sort of the 2 or 3 weeks before lockdown and the 2 weeks post lockdown, things just went crazy, Graham. We had no end of clients suddenly looking to be able to do stuff remotely, to get stuff online, to start put stuff into the cloud. And it was sort of the busiest we've ever been by as big a margin as I can think to explain. I think that the way that we've talked about it is one feeling blessed to be in an industry that is the right place at the right time, and to a certain extent, I've described it as being uncomfortably smug is probably the best way of describing it. That you see businesses really struggling and life being really hard, and our phone just didn't stop ringing. So we had sort of 8 weeks in the middle that were quieter but good. But as we're starting to come out the other side, we see a massive change in the way that people are thinking about tech in their businesses and the stuff that they need to be thinking about.
And obviously, you would have had to adopt a new way of working. You've mentioned yourself, you're not going up to London, you're not going into the office, you're at home, and like a good citizen, you're staying alert and saving lives. Has that had any benefits, you think, either short-term or long-term for the running of the company?
In short, yes. I think when we met last week, I'd said to you that I was going to say we had the foresight to do a test prior to lockdown. And I'd love to, as I told you at the time, I'd love to take credit for the idea. I went to dinner and somebody had done it with their business the day before. So about 10 days before, the Tuesday, 2 weeks before lockdown, I sent a note to all the staff at 8 o'clock saying, right, none of the offices will be open tomorrow. We need to work this out on our own. We've got to assume this has happened now. If I'm really honest, not assuming it was going to happen, but just thinking it was a good thing to test it. And we ran the bit. We didn't tell anybody. We told the staff and told nobody else. And our customers didn't even notice. And that gave us a huge amount of confidence when things started to change. to be able to say, do you know what, we can do this. And given that as an organization, we're at the forefront of cloud telecoms, Teams type, Zoom type, this sort of stuff, and being, one of the people who do this as well, at least as well as anybody else does, us being able to having that technology already deployed across our organization made it remarkably easy for us. In fact, much, much easier than I could possibly imagine for us to be able to function as an organization. And as we start to come out the other side, we're starting to look at what's going on and thinking about, do we need that office? Do we really need 20 people all sat at banks of debt? Now, ignoring the fact that whether it's practical to do that or not, but do we function better as an organization when people aren't commuting for 4 hours every day, aren't spending 30 quid on sandwiches and treats and Starbucks and whatever people do when they're in town. So we've seen a positive impact on morale in our business, apart from a couple of pockets. We've had a couple of groups of people who found it really difficult, and we've tried to do everything we possibly can to provide support to them. But in terms of our ability to communicate, our adoption of our own technology, which, if I'm being really honest about it, we weren't very good at, because we all worked in the same place. So I wanted to speak to somebody in finance about something. I walked to the other end of the office and I spoke to somebody in finance. Now, I check if they're available on Teams. I arrange something. 5 minutes later, we're having a video conversation. And there's lots and lots of punchy, effective conversations rather than long, meandering chats that nothing seems to come out of. So we look at it now and think, our business is running more efficiently and more effectively the way we're doing it today than it was before, we believe.
So your contingency plans look like they're going to become permanent. Presumably, if you're talking about, do we need the office, do we need this, that and the other, there will be cost savings. But the ultimate is that your clients will be getting a better and more efficient service as well.
So I think there are two benefits for the clients. One is we've reduced, we've increased first call resolution, the percentage of tickets that we deal with that we close off the first time we speak to the client, as a direct result of people being able to engage better through this environment. So it's a better service and a better response that we're delivering to the customer. But I think that the true value is by us, living and breathing this all day and seeing the value of it, we're starting to look at behaviors and ways of thinking about driving efficiencies through it. So it's not just about we're doing this a little bit better. It's more about us learning about what works and what doesn't work. And that I would be lying if I said we hadn't had a couple of car crash meetings on video. Suddenly you realize somebody's there who's not supposed to be there. Somebody's supposed to be somewhere else. People, videos, you're seeing stuff, we haven't had anybody in the toilet on a video yet, but we've had situations where people you're like, well, hang on, I thought you were in such and such a place. So we're learning around that sort of stuff. We're prepping better, and as we think about what the value that we bring to our clients longer term, we think it's about expertise in the deployment and the use of technology, as well as expertise in the technology itself.
Okay, well, let's take you up on that point, the deployment of technology and the use of that. Do you think, and have you got a feedback from your clients that apart from the obvious, which is this is an obvious example, us doing a Zoom interview rather than me coming to your office or us being at an exhibition or something, is there ways in which your clients want to use technology more differently and more effectively post-COVID?
So I think the short answer to that at the moment is that I'm not sure people are quite clear on what that looks like.
Well, I'll give you an example. Sorry to interrupt. I'll give you an example. You've spoken about your support services and you've got first call resolution quite quickly. if you have a first call and that first call is Zoom video, it's much more difficult for a support person to, if you like, say, oh, I'll come back to you in 5 minutes on that, or I'll do that in a minute, or something else. When you're face to face, and the same would be within a travel agency, as you're dealing face to face, it's much more effective than if you're on the end of an email or at the end of a phone.
But I think that's only part of it, Graham. I think that this concept of putting the right people in front of the right people with the right information, the right authority, and the ability to do what needs done there and then. So it's not just about you and I being able to see each other. It's about me being to see what the issue is, what the information, what the last conversation you had. So it's about knitting technology together and then taking people on a journey about what good actually feels like. So that my view is that there is no reason. So people talk about customer experience, they talk about contact centers, and they talk about selling and conversion rates and all of that sort of stuff. But I think that the customer journey starts much, much earlier than that, and it finishes much, much later. So using tech to create positive experiences at every stage of the customer journey. And for me, that's where we see our travel clients who are having the biggest impact on their business is their ability to think slightly differently about that and think about the impact that they're having at all stages of the journey. And just connecting somebody, just saying, right, we're going to use Zoom for that doesn't answer that question. It's right, we're going to use that tool, we're going to integrate this, we're going to make sure that when TravelMole contact me, I know who all the people are, I've got the information about who all the people are at TravelMole, the last conversation we had, what they've booked, what they're likely to be looking for, and you can start to build AI and predictive stuff around that. And so to my earlier point about people not knowing what the future looks like, we're going through this whole piece at the moment around, as we talk to the market generally about this concept of reimagining business, reimagining the customer experience, reimagining business continuity, and all of those things at the moment. We all think we know what's coming, but I'm not sure we actually do. So being prepared to be able to be agile and change for me is at least as important as anything else that's going on.
Yeah, very much specifically about the travel industry, and presumably the same is true of almost every other industry. It's very much a finger in the air exercise. We're all speculating as to the way the future may be, but you obviously, out of this debate, out of this change of way of working with artificial intelligence, integration of systems, etc., more and more services, I'm sure, will come from Babble. Will that change the way that you're perceived in the market? I mean, you're not a company that's sitting around waiting. I mean, you're in an acquisition trail. You've bought companies in the last 12 months. What sort of business, what sort of Babble will we have by the end of, say, 2021?
So I think the transition that the business, or transformation the business has made in its positioning has, it's been a three-year project to move from being a commodity-esque telecoms provider that provides tech in the cloud to being somebody that becomes a value add to businesses. So the stuff that we're bringing to work with organizations there has to be a business case that is not about saving money, not about reducing costs. It's about adding value, about increasing profitability, about improving customer experience, and being able to stand up in front of an audience in a different industry and talk about the value that we brought to clients through the deployment of technology and I hesitate to use the word education because it always sounds patronizing, but the idea of, everybody can buy tech. It's easy to buy tech. Using technology effectively in a way that improves the way that your business operates and in turn has an impact on your profitability or your growth, depending on which of those is your priority at the time. And I would like us to be thought of in that way as we go into 2021.
And do you think that that will result in perhaps having more vertical skills within one specific industry for Babble, or would it be a generic, generic skill sets across all of them?
I think it's a bit of both. I think having an understanding of a space and really, we've invested both money, but also time in really understanding more about how travel works, what matters to the people in travel, understanding how clients feel about it at the other end, how partners work with that, and having a deeper knowledge of a specific industry makes it easier to add value, and trying to do that in lots of different places. And we chose travel for a number of reasons, but one of the key ones was that customer experience one felt like somewhere that material gains could be made over the change of thinking. So is it more verticals? I don't know the answer to that. Is it a deeper understanding of the verticals that we're in? Absolutely.
Good. So brand Babble in 2021, halfway through, it will be one of a value-added reseller, someone that understands the marketplace, someone who could come along and actually give you advice as to how to solve specific issues, how to get better value out of your clients and better value out of your staff, as opposed to just purely a product supplier.
Yeah, absolutely. Have we helped you improve your conversion rates? Have we helped you improve your customer engagement? Have we helped you improve your staff engagement? These things are all, I'm convinced they're all self-fulfilling. If your customers are happier, your staff are happier, your shareholders are happier, and the whole thing, it's a virtuous cycle.
Good. Well, Matt, I wish you the very best of luck with that goal, with that target. I'm sure that I wish you the very best in reaching your handicap targets with regard to golf, and that you become the cordon bleu chef your family obviously wants you to be.
Thank you very much, Graham. Great to talk to you.
And you. Cheers.